We've got Natalie Nichols here with us from Plex Learning. And so we're talking about why our kids don't see what we see. Nat, it is good to have you back with us. We've had a little bit of a break since we saw you last.
We have, yeah.
Now, I don't know if the Sunshine family remember. The last time I think we chatted, we talked about just see it, do it. Yeah. And today I think follows on from that conversation a while ago. Can you just give us a little bit of a highlight reel of what see it, do it means, and then we can tie that into this one?
Yes. Okay. So this one is all about being able to see. So we sometimes will see things that need to be done around the house. So this is whether it's the adult or the parent in the house might see something like a towel on the floor, or we might see that a desk is really messy, or we might see that we were just talking earlier about how laundry might end up on the floor instead of in a basket, or, and then all of a sudden we see that as the parent, that actually could be put into the basket, or we might be seeing that that actually could have gone into the dishwasher, right? And so today I wanted people to be able to understand that what's going inside the brain, because I think when we see the why, it really helps us then to understand and then to be able to support and provide strategies, not only for us as the adults, but also for our kids, so that it becomes one of those habits that we can ingrain in them without being the nagging parent, right? The one that tells kids what to do all the time, and we're still not getting anywhere.
Okay. So basically what we're talking about is we're correcting domestic blindness in young adults.
We're supporting.
We're supporting. Okay, supporting. Okay, supporting. Okay, so why is it that parents and children see spaces differently?
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, we need to look at development.
Yeah.
All right. It's really, really important that we take a step back and we always say they're just children first. Okay, because our brains are fully developed. Their brains are still developing.
Yeah.
Okay, so their brains are developing as according to the environment, their input that they're getting, and also developmentally according to their age. And what we're talking about right now is that executive functioning and being able to identify and see things that really need to be done. Now, sometimes we may be thinking, oh, well, some adults also still don't see and do those things, right? But that can also happen because when they were a younger child as well, that they may not have also had that opportunity to develop that skill using their executive functioning. So we are born with the capacity to be able to develop our executive functioning skills, but it still needs that support along the way to be able to teach those skills and in a non-threatening way.
Okay. So we need to develop those skills. If a child says, I just didn't see that, or is that a typical response for their neurological development of where they're at? So maybe they haven't developed the executive functions, or they're just domestically blind, like me.
Yeah, look, and sometimes we can think straight away our default is, oh, well, that's a choice and that's behaviour, because that's easy. It's easy for us to blame, right? And it kind of ticks the box. Whereas if we have to stop and think, okay, well, maybe they didn't see it. What else could we be doing here? And then thinking about, could this be related to what we call attention filtering? Okay, so this is terminology of attention filtering. And basically what happens is our brain has a job of being able to act as a gatekeeper for the brain, okay? If we have too many things that the brain needs to focus on, it will literally overload. All right, we might see, shutdowns of explosions and all sorts of things because there's too much. So if you're driving in the car, you're not going to remember every single number plate, every single street sign, every single traffic light, or every single thing that's happened on the way, because the brain said to you, we're just going to get from here to here, and that's what we're going to focus on. And so it filtered all that stuff out. So if you're then walking through the house, your job maybe as a parent, you see all those things.
Yeah.
Right? Because you want to have a tidy house and you want to be able to see these things put away. But if your brain is at a different level, so our children, their job is to filter that stuff out.
Yep.
All right? And our job as well then is then to think, okay, so is this where their brain is at? And how can I support them so that we can gradually teach them without that overload of that filtration system on one thing at a time? Because the other thing to remember is that when the brain is overloaded, it will delete more. So when you find, if you find that you generally kind of find it really hard to see any of those things, usually the brain could be under some kind of chronic stress. It's got a chronic sense of overload. There's just too much going on. Sensory overload is a biggie, right?
Yeah, okay.
Some people see things and it's just way too much. Could be emotional load, time pressure, everything that probably everyone goes, yes, that's all of us anyway. But so that's why this is going to become a little bit more of an overwhelm.
Okay, sounds good. Now, Nat, when you were explaining the way our brains filter out the things that are around us because there's just so much going on, I felt like you were describing my brain pretty much every day as I'm like filtering through things. Even when I get home, like sometimes I feel like my brain is still filtering through things. And as adults, we wrestle with the challenges of life, the expectations, from family, from external commitments, whether it be church or sport or other things that we're connected into. How does that translate then from us as adults wrestling in that space to, a 5 or 6 year old or a teenager who are still going through a lot of developmental stuff, trying to regulate these things?
Yeah. Okay. One of the really important things is that our own self-awareness first.
Yeah.
Because once we become aware of where we're at too, we also need to remember that our kids' nervous systems read ours. So I think I've mentioned that in the past.
Yeah.
So if we're feeling really overwhelmed and we're missing things and all that kind of stuff, your kids are going to be doing the same. Not because they consciously choose it, but because the nervous system on a subconscious level just mirrors that. So it's really important about thinking about what those priorities are. Doug and I were just talking about how we can kind of think if we are feeling that overwhelm and our brain is kind of deleting all those things that we really should be focusing on, it's taking that moment to think, well, what are things that I really don't have to do so I can start to reduce that capacity, but also give yourself that time to relax the brain and really be able to switch off, whether that means going out for a little walk each morning or a walk in the evening, so that the brain feels at a more relaxed pace, checking our diet, checking our exercise, checking all the foundational things, checking sleep. That's a massive one, right? Because again, if we see it as our body is just trying to look after you, then those are the kind of things that it's in its protective state. There's nothing wrong with you. It's that the brain is just protecting itself so that you can keep functioning on a daily life. So when we're looking at our younger kids, especially the kids that are going back to school this week, every parent I've spoken to, it's overwhelming. We've all had a holiday. Then we've all had a crazy week of just jump into school, all of a sudden lunch boxes, everything, right? And then it's a big thing for our brain to be able to understand, right? And so then if we're starting to think about if these things are not passing through our conscious awareness of keeping our bedrooms tidy or putting that cup away or leaving the towels on the floor or leaving the bags on the floor, is it because it's right too much for that capacity right now? Yeah. So how do we approach that with compassion? And then think about simple strategies to support that so that we're not being I suppose, overbearing, you're not putting your school bag away kind of thing, but as opposed to if something was quite simple of, having a little list and you tick it off, it's less for the brain then to think what they need to do because it's just literally, it's had that big full day. It needs to have that time just to relax. And I think we're in such a society where it's go, 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 go. Yeah. And we're not really understanding what is too much for our brain and the responsibilities that it really needs to focus on.
I was talking with someone recently, or part of a conversation. I obviously don't have kids, but they were talking about like the kids have got this on and that on, this on and that on. And these are the after school activities. How does that play into this space of rest where we overcomplicate or we add undue stress into that? We don't give them a chance to play. We don't give them a chance to breathe. We don't give them a chance to have an afternoon nap if they need one. Yeah. Does that all play into this space around them being able to think and see and add capacity?
I think one of the big words you're looking at here is balance. Yeah. And I think this is a really, really big thing. I've got 3 kids, trying to find that balance and trying to use the community to balance that too. Number one is obviously looking after ourselves first. So if we're driving around everywhere, is that really great? If we're exhausted, is it great for the kids? It's not. You might think that you're doing that for your children, but what they need is a more relaxed and stable parent first. Then if we think about activities, how many of those activities are really going to be supportive of them? Yeah, a sport is great or something else, but being mindful that in those afternoons, they need downtime. Because what can commonly happen, and this is where you start to see things like ADHD symptoms. I have a lot of children that might come in and they've come from school, they go straight to another activity, and then they're quite exhausted, but instead of showing tiredness, the body goes into overdrive. Yep. And this is where we see the increase in cortisol, increase in adrenaline, and they're almost on that hyper state. And we think, well, is that they need more exercise, or is that their body's just overwhelmed, been way too much going on? Yeah. and it needs to relax.
Okay. Now, Nat, when it comes to our kids, we've sort of laid out some good parameters here around, the emotional regulation and, being overloaded and the why we don't see things. What are some of the practical things that we can put in place?
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, it's remembering our default is always going to be go and do that.
Yeah.
So first of all, instead of saying do this, try harder, we need to think about teaching something. Okay, so go with we're going to implement see, do. So we're going to look for things.
Yep.
And when we look for that, it engages lots of areas of our brain, right? We're activating our visual cortex, RAS system, our prefrontal cortex, lots of other areas I'm not even going to go into. But you're pulling in lots of areas of their brain to teach them to see, right? Once that we can teach them to see, what I see matters and I'm responding to my environment. That is what you're trying to teach. What I see matters, and then I'm going to respond to my environment, okay? This is not going to happen overnight. It happens over time. So if we all bring it as a family and do it in a safe way, as opposed to you walk straight past that, because that's going to go to shut down and fight mode, as opposed to let's have a look and see what else is here. Oh, look, I just saw some socks on the floor. I'm going to pick those up, right? Oh, I've seen a towel. I might actually pick that up and just hang that up.
Yes.
It's almost seeing what you're doing and labeling what you're doing. Or the good old toilet paper roll. I'm sure if anyone's got that one, like that literally cannot go into the bin. Oh, what can you see here? Or someone's put a toilet paper roll on the floor. Why don't we just pick it up?
Yeah.
Let's see what we've got in our environment and then do by placing in another way.
Yeah.
And it becomes more of a family kind of thing that you end up working through. And if you stick to a one phrase of the see do, then it's something you can all work on together as a family. And remembering what you're actually doing is engaging areas of the brain and teaching them those things to be able to see. So, if you look into the bathroom, what can you see that needs to be put away? Guide them with it.
Yeah.
I can see the toothbrush is there. I can see the toothpaste is there. I can see the towel. Okay, well, let's work together and we can put those things away.
Yeah, that's great. So basically what we're trying, not only are we training ourselves to have those verbal cues that help our kids, but the verbal cues triggers for our kids to watch us do it and they then do it. Yeah,
yes. Okay. And doing it together to start with, right? Yeah. As opposed to the command of telling them to do it. Let's support them, reduce the capacity and the load, do it with them at first so we can be a good example.
Yep.
We might, get past the whole, well, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
We've got a whole family of, 3, 4 or 5 in our family or more. Yep. Let's just all pitch in and help.
Okay. So it's almost, if I could add a couple of steps in, tell me if this is wrong or not, but our kids are watching us, we're doing it with them, and then we're watching them do it.
Yeah.
And then in amongst that, we're adding praise.
Yeah, definitely. Love it. You remember my specific phrase. Yeah, that's right. And if you see a child do something like, oh my gosh, I saw that you saw that, and then you went and did it, high five.
High five.
Yeah. Okay. So praising the specific thing they did, not the person, not good boy, good girl, but I saw that you picked up your towel and then you hung it up. Well done, high five.
You did good, Doug. You picked up your towel.
You hung it up, so it was right.
That's awesome. So, okay, so it's really just getting back to that basics, thinking about it from our perspective, acknowledging it with the kids and teaching them to be visual and actually do it and praising them in the process.
That's right. Yeah. And remembering that compassion of instead of they're choosing to do that, because that's our own belief that's affecting this.
Yeah.
All right. That they're not necessarily choosing to do it, but just may need a little bit of support and training. And thinking about that as a default that the brain's gone to, and it's our job to be able to support them and develop those areas.
Fantastic. Hey, Nat, I walk away feeling a little bit lighter and a little bit more full of knowledge every time we chat. So I thoroughly enjoyed. Looking forward to our next conversation.
Thank you.
And we'll do it again shortly. You're with Doug and you're on Sunshine.